Mhm. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carla Matzdorf. I am admin to the group Overcoming Anxiety for Stressed Out Moms Who've Had Enough, and I'm also a certified health and life coach who helps moms to overcome anxiety. Today, I'm coming on specifically to talk to you all about self care. Self care is actually extremely important as a mom. And we're going to discuss that. I'm just looking to see if I'm in the group. Hey, I see myself in the group. Yay. Um, I'm just, I'm just, okay. So, self care. Let's really talk about this because I really believe if you would just practice some self care, you would feel so much better. Okay. So, what is self care? Okay. If I had to make up a definition, self care is what you do, all right, to help your well being physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, to help you to just be a better version of yourself. Because without self care, um, we get stressed out. I mean, as moms, we wear a lot of hats, we have a lot of responsibility, all right? Um, we could get very overwhelmed and burnt out quickly without self care. And in those moments of burnout and overwhelm, we start feeling things in our bodies. You have to listen to your body. Your body is very intelligent, it's always there to protect you. And it's going to start telling you, hey, and it comes in forms of symptoms and sensations in your body. Hey, Abby, um, so when you start feeling those symptoms and sensations in your body, that is the time for you to be like, okay, what's going on? Okay, because as we know, anxiety is like a warning signal. When you start feeling anxiety, that's life telling you, that's your body and your mind telling you, hey mom, you need to start taking care of yourself. So we need to listen to those signals, those things that we're feeling, so that we can take action to make ourselves feel better physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So that's self care. So, and it's very important because without it, mom, you're going to burn out, okay? You're going to get to a point where that stress is going to build up. You're going to feel anxiety. And we know what it's like when anxiety takes over our lives, right? And also, it interferes with so much that we do in life. It interferes with relationships and jobs, just everything in general. It messes up your sleep and the way you eat, the way you take care of yourself. Excuse me. So, so self-care is extremely important. Very important. Okay? So what I want to go over with you is what makes it so hard for a mom to practice self-care. Because sometimes when I talk to you, it doesn't sound like you're really taking better care of yourself. So let's go through a list of things that may be going on in your mind that's keeping you from from practicing self-care. Hey ladies, as you come on, say hi, let me know who's on with me. We're talking about self-care today because it is essential for moms. Hi Connie. It is very important for any human being. But moms, as I said in the beginning of this life, we have a hard job, right? We wear many hats. We can burn out very quickly. But what is keeping you from practicing self-care? Well, the first thing I want to talk about is let's talk about things like guilt and shame, okay? Because moms, as a mom, we just, we feel this maternal instinct that we got to focus on our family. It's all about our family. So we should put everything after ourselves. Like the family comes first. And if we put ourselves first, we just get this sense of guilt. Because what kind of mom am I if I'm putting myself before my family? Because isn't that what moms do? Does that make me look selfish that I'm putting myself before my family? Are people going to think I'm lazy because they see me doing things for myself and I'm not doing stuff for my family? So the shame, that comes with shame. Because we care what society thinks, don't we? We care about what society thinks. So we will not take care of ourselves because what if somebody sees me doing XYZ when I should be at my son or daughter's game? So there becomes a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. And that's why maybe you're not taking care of yourself. Another reason why you may not be taking care of yourself, practicing that self-care. Well, let's talk about time. I mean, you are busy. You're busy. You lack the time. When am I going to find the time? Carla, do you know my schedule? Do you understand that I am not just a mom, I'm also working? And like, you may have a laundry list of things going on in your life. But I'm going to tell you right now, and I've said this so many times before, if you don't take time for your well-being, right? If you don't take time for your well-being, you don't listen to your body and take time for yourself, you will be forced to take time for that sickness. Because if stress is prolonged, stress is not good for us. If it's prolonged and we don't take care of ourselves, it's going to build up in our body. And your body is going to pay the price. Or you may have the lack of funds. And now I get it. I understand times are hard. All right? But let's talk about this for a second. Because the first thing is, all the money I have, I spend on my kids. I understand. What sports are they in? Do they dance? Do they do karate? Do they do scouts? What are your kids involved in, right? So I totally get it. So you lack funds. To spend on my kids is where my priority is. That's where the money goes. Or, maybe you lack funds because maybe you don't lack funds. You just say that you lack funds because of the guilt of spending the money on yourself. You really feel that money should go to the family. But ladies, again, we're talking about your mental health. We're talking about making you a better version of yourself so that you can be there for your family. So if little Susie has to skip a season of dance so that you can spend the money on getting help, what is wrong with that? Because let me say this again. If you don't get the help you need, you're eventually going to have to find time for your sickness. You'll be spending a lot of money on medicines and on doctors. Laura, I did read your message. I'm sorry you're having a panic attack right now. Panic is just fear, okay? You're going to be fine. It's just fear. That is all that it is. okay? I actually did live trainings on panic, Laura, and I want you to go look at one of those live trainings right now, okay? This is important too, but if you don't know what to do with this panic attack, I can't talk about that right now. If you want, I'll talk about it with you later, or please go watch a live training. All right, Laura? All right. And I will pray for you. I pray for everybody in this group every day. Okay. So back to the live training about self-care. So the other thing is the lack of support. Some of you have more support than others, okay? Now, support is really, really important. It really is important. And I have said before that the moms who have a lot of support are usually the moms who do better. In other words, they're the ones who will go through the programs. And, you know, when they feel it's hard, when they feel like they want to give up, they have somebody to say, get going, keep going. But that's why I'm here as a coach, you know, because that's my job. That you are to tell me, but this is hard and I want to give up. And that's my job to help you to keep going, because it can get hard. But if you don't have that support and accountability, it's very easy to just give up and to not want to do the work and to let your fears take over. Okay, so accountability too, it's like working out, right? You want to go to the gym, but you hate working out alone. You wish you had a friend with you. So that's what this group is about. Because although a lot of you don't know each other, it's great that you're seeing that there are moms just like you. You are not alone. And you can reach out to any of the moms anytime. With the permission of a mom, you can actually, go into Messenger and have a conversation and support one another. And I'm always here, of course, to support you in any way that you need it. So support and accountability is very, very important. And if you lack that, you are not going to take care of yourself. The other thing would be lack of awareness, okay? If you don't have that awareness of what you're going through and why, okay? Lack of awareness is basically you don't know that you need the self-care. You don't know why you need self-care, okay? You don't understand how important that self-care is. So without understanding how important self-care is, you may not pursue it. You may not understand how vital it is to overcome anxiety. But I'm telling you right now, please, you start practicing self-care. Start making that a priority. The other thing would be maybe your ego gets in the way. Seriously. And I know that's hard to understand, but are you somebody who wants to control everything, right? So you might say, somebody might say to you, my way, somebody might say, okay, let me help you. And you go, oh, no, I don't need your help. I don't need your help, because you believe your way is the best way. Only you can keep your house the way you do. Only you can care for your children the way that you do. Only you, So instead of getting the help that you need so that you don't feel so overwhelmed, okay, and practice self-care, you will keep telling people, no, I don't need help. Even with your kids, even with your husband, I'm doing everything myself because my way is the way, the only way, and the best way. It's a control thing. Another thing that might keep you from practicing self-care can be that you're not sleeping well because, and I know this so well, that when you don't sleep well, okay, you lack the energy, you lack focus, you lack motivation, you are moody, and you love your family, but it's super hard to jump out of that bed and do all those demands of being a mother, all the responsibilities of being a mom. I understand that. So you say, Carla, and you're telling me to do self-care? I can't even get myself out of bed. So lack of sleep could be a major role in not practicing your self-care. And another one I want to talk about is your loss of who you are. You see, you were this maybe party animal, the life of the party type of person before you got married and had kids. You know, you had this personality before children. Then you became a mom. And sometimes you become a mom and you get so lost in that role, okay, that you forget who you were before you were a mom, okay? Who were you before motherhood? And now that you're mom, you know, whatever that means to you, how and who are you? Like, how? I don't know who I am anymore. And sometimes to, you know, practice self-care, you have to like really love yourself. Those who love themselves and who they are will take better care of themselves. So all these reasons are some of the things that are keeping you from practicing self-care. So if you're coming on, ladies, first of all, say hi. I see people jumping on and off. You know, let me know who's on with me. But we're talking about self-care and the importance of it, which I said in the beginning of this live. So if you're just coming on, make sure you watch this from the beginning. And we just finished talking about what keeps you from practicing self-care. But if something's keeping you from, hi Christina, thank you for joining me. If something is keeping you from practicing self-care, how do we now start practicing self-care? Like, I do want to do it, Carla. I really, really do. How do I overcome all of this? You know, all these things that you mentioned, I'm feeling like, you know, I think I mentioned like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 things. I'm feeling 6 of them. You know, what am I going to do about this? Okay. So first of all, we need to change how we look at self-care, because we'll think of things like, okay, in order for me to have self-care, I have to sleep. But do you understand I'm having troubles with sleep? How am I going to sleep better if I can't sleep? Well, okay, that's fair. Follow the rules of sleep. I have many live trainings about sleep and how to sleep better while you have anxiety and as you're overcoming anxiety. So please check out those live trainings. They're either in the guides group or you can find them on YouTube. Okay, I'm now on YouTube. Please search my YouTube channel, which I also posted in the group. All right. So the thing is to see it differently. So if you're having problems with sleep, get the sleep in order. See, you know, get yourself more aware of that. If you're having, let's say, exercise is a great thing for self-care, right? But I don't like exercise. I hate exercise. I don't want to exercise. It's too hard and I can't find time. You might have all the excuses. But exercise is so essential for your well-being. Very essential, okay? It helps with so many things. So maybe what you have to do, you know, you have to change your view of exercise. So in other words, you don't have to start big. Start small, little. Okay, if you're somebody who's on the couch for hours every day Instead of being on the couch for hours, limit your time watching TV, limit your time scrolling on the phone. And instead, just take a walk. Start with a slow, leisurely walk. That's better than being sedentary. Okay? It will really help. It's part of self-care. And it would really help. So look at self-care differently, because there are so many types of ways of self-care. But if you're telling yourself, I don't have time for this, and, coming up with all those excuses, how can I make self-care fun? How can I make it enjoyable? Do you like to garden? Instead of watching Netflix, go outside and garden and get some sunlight, which is also so really good for you. Do you like nature? Take a walk in nature. When you find activity, okay, when you find the right activity, you're going to want to do it. Maybe you just have not found the right thing for you, which is why you don't do it. So self-care may just be a matter of looking at it differently. It's a matter of also prioritizing yourself, because as a mom, what you're doing is you're putting your family first. So you have to see that, yes, your family is important, but so are you. What happens when you're sick? What happens when you're down and out? Do your husband and children know what to do? They just take over? You're an important person. They need you. And being sick, being down and out, is not serving your family well. So if you're not sleeping and you're feeling anxious and you can't focus and you don't have any energy, how are you helping your family? If you can't leave the house and you have to cancel vacations and you can't go on date nights with your husband, and these things, we can change them by what we do. You need some tweaking, and that's all you need. Start incorporating self-care. So another thing is finding connection, okay? Because part of self-care is understanding a couple things. You're not alone, okay? You are not alone. Like, some of you lack support. So seek that connection. Is there a group you could join, like this group? But yes, this group is also an online group. And yes, you can make connections in this group, because all the moms, they're moms, they're all going through a lot of what you're going through. But some of you want face-to-face connection. You could do Zoom calls and stuff like that. But are there groups like in your church or in the community? Are there certain social things that you can start becoming a part of so that you don't feel so alone? Connection with other moms is really going to help you feel supported. And I kind of said it before, but really implementing ways to get that self-care. All right? Before we were talking about all the things that make it so hard to practice self-care, but it's that awareness of what these things are that are keeping you from performing the self-care, and what can I do to see it differently. So if you're a mom who deals with a lot of guilt and shame, okay, understand, yes, we as moms, we feel family should always come first, all right? We put our families first because self-care is selfish. That's how we feel. And society can make us feel that way, right? But what if we can flip the switch, okay, and see things from a different perspective? it's also selfish that I don't take care of myself, okay? It could be selfish if I don't take care of myself because I'm making myself, not well. And I'm not going to be there as the mom I want to be. I'm not taking care of myself. And I love my family. I need to prioritize myself so that my family can benefit. How is my family going to get the healing, and the support and the love and the care that they need if I'm down and out? So self-care is pretty important for you, Mom. It really is. Don't worry about what society thinks. It's not up to society. You need to listen to your body. What is your body telling you? And if your body is telling you that you need help, that you need to start taking care of yourself, the best thing you could do for you and your family is to listen to that. Practicing self-care is important to cope with stress. It helps you feel more prepared and better able to cope with the stresses of life. So, find ways to get self-care. And what's going to make it less overwhelming is to start, we look at the big picture. And that could be overwhelming. Don't look at the big picture. What is that one little thing I could do right now in this moment? If I have time, okay, think about this. If I can take 5 minutes to scroll on my phone, which you're probably doing more than 5 minutes, if I can take 5 minutes or maybe 28 minutes to watch a half an hour program on Netflix or Hulu, I can use that time instead for self-care, to relax, to decompress. So the other thing to overcome would be if you're really having such a hard time with this. So if you're having a hard time looking at self-care differently and connecting, finding that support and connecting with others and implementing self-care into your day, I would get professional help. Somebody who's going to help you to incorporate that self-care. Now, 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I talked about a routine. I did a whole live training about a routine. So if you haven't seen it, go seek that out, because having a routine will help you with self-care, because it's going to help you incorporate things into your life, but you do them slowly, okay? Well, I'm not saying that you need to drop everything. Tell your kid they can no longer go to dancing school because all that time is going to be you spent doing self-care, or what I'm saying is it's doing things slowly and small and giving yourself that grace to put it in, to understand that there are things that you're telling yourself that are just excuses to not do the self-care. But if you knew how important self-care was, if you understood that importance, you would make it a priority to fit it in. It is that important. It really, really is. Make it a part of your routine, because you are an important person, Mom. And we don't want that buildup of stress to take hold, okay? And to take over, where you feel so anxious that the anxiety takes over your life. But you don't have to stay that way, because as you know, working with me, anxiety, you can overcome it. You absolutely can. With the right help, you will overcome it. So stick with me and you will overcome this. And if you're having a hard time overdoing it yourself and you need that extra support, please reach out to me, because I have 3 wonderful programs and I would love to work with you to overcome anxiety and to practice self-care, because that's such a huge part of it. It really is. And if you're not incorporating things in your life to make your life different, you need to start doing that today. Not when you're ready, not over the weekend, not when you can find time. Today, right now. After you watch this live video, what is one thing that you can do to help have that self-care? Okay? Can you go for a walk? Can you just sit on the couch, close your eyes, do some breathing, try to silence your mind and focus on your breathing? Can you, for self-care, do you paint? Do you needlepoint? Are you an artist? What are some things that relaxes you and helps you to just decompress? Your phone, because I know I already hear some of you saying, oh, I play games on my phone to do that. I watch Netflix to do that. That's not decompressing, ladies. It's not. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm guilty of that too, that like when I'm sitting here and I speak to so many people, I'm like, oh, let me go watch a little bit of TV. And then I'm like, well, what am I doing? My body needs to get up and get moving. You're better off going for a walk and silencing the mind. Get good at silencing the thoughts, the mind. That is where the real change takes place. All right, ladies. That is self-care. I hope after watching this live training, you really understand the importance of self-care. Are there any questions? Does anybody have any questions about self-care? What to do? How to do it? Okay. If anyone's watching the replay, you could always put your questions and your comments in the comments, or you could message me anytime. And let's I really just hope that you have an understanding of how important this self-care is. Without self-care, it's going to get worse, ladies. You don't want the stress to build up. Okay? I know it could be hard at times, but what's going to be harder is when you become sickly and not able to do the job of a mom that you want to be. You're not able to be that mom, that person that you want to be. Because that's what happened to me. And I don't want that to happen to you. Learn from somebody who had debilitating anxiety and panic attacks and depression, insomnia, and overcame it all. I did overcome it, and I practiced all of this. So please reach out to me, and if if what you're doing is not working for you, let's talk about how we can work together so that you get results. Finally get results. All right? Be well, ladies. Take care, and I'll see you in the next live. Bye.